All right, here we are.
What were we just talking about before we got distracted? You're going somewhere about
Astronauts.
Being a fighter pilot.
Oh, yeah.
What makes an astronaut successful?
How many minutes? So I just learned this today. How many minutes does it take an astronaut to get to space?
How many minutes?
Yep.
To space.
In the space
like
shuttle.
Outside of our atmosphere.
You know that many details?
I mean, there's different levels of the stratosphere, right?
Yeah, I wasn't that detailed.
Are we talking about getting from
Earth
to space?
You're on Kennedy Space Center and you hit the throttle.
But where are we going?
To space.
But what counts as space outside of our atmosphere?
You're getting outside my expertise.
Through our atmosphere is what
to
I'm
space.
guessing.
Yes.
We're going to the moon.
To the dark stuff.
That's
Just
tough.
take a guess.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
No.
Ooh, sort of from Earth to space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say 12 minutes.
9.
9.
That's a good guess. How long to get to Mars? We've been over this, but
It's like 6 months, right?
gosh, good job.
Ooh.
Bazing.
I was gonna say like 3 years. Thought it was
6
longer
months.
than that.
How fast does the space shuttle go? Up to get it out of space. How fast is it going?
Mach 22.
That's outside my expertise as well.
Speed of sound, right? Mach 1 speed of sound. So,
So how
It
fast?
breaks the sound barrier.
So how many
for
miles
sure,
per hour
right?
is that? No, I don't know.
Oh, man. There's
300 miles an hour?
360
300? I thought they
No.
said 17,000 this
Oh,
morning.
wow. We are really
Yeah, we may
jacking
be
this
off.
up.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
it was
gotta be faster than that.
17,000.
Hold on.
This is something that I got no clue about.
I love space. That's why. So I brought the National Geographic about astronauts to show Rich.
767 miles per hour.
Wow.
Oh, I just added all.
Double. That was double what I
Wow.
said.
So it's not 17,000 miles. I was like, how many G-forces is that?
But ground speed
Yeah,
and
I
actual
don't know if there's.
speed in the air are two different things.
This was
too.
miles per hour. So
miles
would be the
per
same.
hour. I wonder if that's
Do you
the same
know how
as-
fast that feels? Even like when you go like 0 to 60, can you imagine going 0 to 700? That's why they have to put them through all those machines. Make sure you don't
how
die.
Many, I wonder how many G's they're pulling when they're
I think
like.
it was 9 or 10. I thought it was something like, I could be making that up completely,
Wow.
but I thought that's what it was.
Wow.
What would your astronaut name be?
Rich
Oh.
Froning.
Rich Froning.
Of course.
Yeah.
230 miles per hour is 337 feet per
Okay.
second, approximately, whatever, the acceleration due to gravity. So 1 G is 230 miles per hour.
Wow.
230 is 1G. So they're going a couple. You wouldn't add one fun word to your alter ego.
No.
Well, you know how the Top Gun pilots in the movies or whatever have to have like a
that's
name.
different.
Like,
That's different. That's not an astronaut. Astronauts don't have.
Okay, if you're a Top Gun pilot.
I don't know. You can't like give yourself your
Yeah,
name,
huh?
right?
I don't think you can. I think you have to be like.
Okay, your
named
alter
that.
ego, anything.
I don't have an alter ego.
That was absolutely one of the funniest things that's ever happened here. Rich Froning.
Duh.
You didn't give that any
I
credit.
was like,
What would my astronaut name be? Rich Froning.
okay.
Yeah, like these guys don't change their names.
I know, but like when you want your patch to have something cool on it.
Yeah, like what were all the names
You're
from Top
talking
Gun?
about call sign. Your call
Your
sign.
call
Oh,
sign.
I don't know
like,
that.
Maverick, Goose.
I was just thinking-
Slider.
See, I was in the wrong realm.
Viper.
I was
Viper,
thinking of
that was
alter
the-
egos.
yeah.
Viper's good.
Slider was the dude in the beginning. Like
Jester.
Jester. Oh,
dead.
Yeah, Jester's dead. I tried to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Kristen and I did.
Yeah.
And like
Hillary.
I'm telling you, when I left the theater watching that
Fired up.
live, man, I was pumped. I tried to watch it the other day, and I was just like, yeah, I couldn't really get through
No?
it.
Hillary hated it.
Oh, I like it.
She was like, "Why is everybody sweating in the '80s?"
They were really sweaty. Do you know my cousin was a Top Gun?
That's legit.
He's like legit. He was the top in his class.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He went to that program though, that Top Gun program.
And he the pictures of him getting out of the fighter, like it's really cool. He's brilliant. He's really smart. And he still like goes wakeboarding with his 7 children and does flips and like
Oh, wow.
they're super athletic, super smart family. They're awesome.
Wow.
But it's just a cool thing. You go in the office and you see all the pictures and you're like, you did that. It's really cool.
Have you ever been to the air shows like where like the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds fly?
No, I've never been.
It's really cool.
Ever?
Nope.
That's cool.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
They do it in Cocoa Beach. Well, Patrick Air Force Base. You guys should come sometime.
I've tried, and I've told Rich one of my stories on the way home from Texas the other day, but I've tried several times to be in planes, not like jet planes, and I just get sick. I can't do it. Like
sick? Like throw
yeah,
up sick?
You know, and they start pulling hard maneuvers and banking and rolling and all that. I can't.
You got in one that did that?
I've had multiple opportunities to be in different planes like that.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Did I not tell you the story of trying to get over the Continental Divide in a single engine airplane?
No.
He told us the story.
I told him this weekend.
You told me?
No.
Oh, okay.
He told me. He told us in the plane while we were in the plane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were coming back. So I had no idea about any of this getting into the plane, but it's a little single engine plane.
Yeah.
I was in college, we're playing football. My wife was due with the baby, and my dad was like, "Look, by car, the game's 8 hours away. You'll never make it back if she has a baby." So they chartered a little plane. The airflow, the airstream coming over the Rocky Mountains from west to east is so strong that little plane has to actually like run at the mountain as hard as it can go, and then catch the air just right, and then pop up over the mountains.
And I guess you didn't have a choice, huh?
I had no idea that this was actually going to happen. So, like, if you have a single engine plane or a jet, it can get above all that and fly. So, we got so sick. I mean, throwing up to the point you wanted to be dead. The pilot was breathing out the little side window because it smelled so badly of throw up.
Oh my gosh.
I thought my dad was dead. He was in the seat next to the pilot. He was literally just leaning over. I've thrown up to the point that I remember just wanting to die. And the plane was hitting the air and bouncing and slamming, and you're bashing your head into the top of the canopy and even in the seatbelt. And I thought we were going to crash because 1 second you're like this, the next second the plane's like this.
The pilot, is this normal for him?
Yeah, he was like totally cool.
So he knew what was going to, that was just standard operation.
Right.
Wow.
He was like, "Hey, we'll try one more time." Like we tried twice and it didn't happen. He's like, "We'll slingshot back around. We'll try one more time. If we don't, we'll run on back to Greeley." Was where we came from, Greeley, Colorado.
My gosh.
And we'll get a twin engine plane and we'll pop right over this. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Why didn't we start with that?
Why didn't we do that?
Why was this not step one?
So, long story.
It was the fridge that's making that noise.
Gotcha.
Elly tried to find out where that noise came from.
I was investigating to no avail.
Long story short.
I played like two plays, 2 downs in that game. I was so sick. I just laid in the end zone trying to recover. And my dad wouldn't get back on the plane coming home.
Oh, yeah.
We bought him a bus ticket so he could go home.
That's horrible. That sounds terrible.
But yeah, man, to do what those guys do, guys and gals, that's legit. To be able to.
Yeah, that's something you have to train your body for, though, too. For sure.
Have you seen the videos where they're starting to pull G's and I don't even know what it all is. People are going to watch this and think we're idiots, but where they clench down really hard. So when you start to pull G's, they'll do squeeze your butt and your.
Really?
And they'll grunt really hard, and the pilot will be telling him to do it. And there's a term for it. I don't know what the term is, but so you watch the video and it's on their camera and.
Yeah.
As they start to pull these G's so they don't black out. And it's like those suits that they have on them.
Oh, dear.
That's crazy.
Well, speaking of, so I was watching this thing this week, and I had grand plans of teaching you guys how to yodel today.
Oh.
Because there's actually a process behind it.
Absolutely not.
You don't even want to hear how they do it? How you learn?
Absolutely not.
You have to...
Let's not waste this. We're not wasting time on this podcast with yodeling. Sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
Boom.
No, we're not doing that.
Okay, what do you want to do?
I don't care, but we're not yodeling. And you're not teaching anybody how to yodel.
You don't even know
that
how.
Needs to be a new Mayhem t-shirt.
I don't really care.
I don't care, but we're not yodeling.
We had a substitute teacher that would yodel, and it's not that impressive.
That's not okay.
I thought the learning process was hard. But it's fine. That's only what I've been practicing on my hour drive last couple days.
Yodeling?
Yodeling.
I'd love to
Have
see
you
that
seriously
video.
been practicing yodeling? Have you taken video of that? Because I would.
No.
That I would want to see.
Oh my
no, there's
gosh.
something funny driving down the road.
I don't think I'd want to see that.
Yodelay hee hee, yodel ho ho, yodelay hee.
Jeez.
Is that what it is? I don't know.
Kinda. I mean, he doesn't want to learn, so I'm not going to go into it. But there are 2 things that you have to do it, and it's very ezy. But it's
No
fine.
response. He's reading National Geographic over there.
Yeah, I can't get behind that. Sorry.
I mean, what do you have for the world about CrossFit today? Are you shifting gears for regionals at all in terms of?
No.
Okay.
When do we ever switch gears?
If you torture us during in regional season.
I feel like things have ramped up a little bit now.
Yeah,
though.
that we always ramp up.
I feel like there's some intensity from you. starting to kind of head towards.
We've done more team stuff, I guess.
Yeah, kind of.
You can get to ride bikes this afternoon.
Yeah,
That's
I can't
exciting.
wait to do
Try to
that.
ride bikes.
Get up there on the mountain,
Yeah.
ride around.
Have you ever written a letter to the president?
No.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, because I thought maybe they'd listen.
What president was it?
Let's see. I want to say it must have
Had to been Bill
Clinton.
Had to
yeah.
been Bill Clinton.
Because that was
What did you say to Bill?
Probably FDR, wasn't it?
FDR. No,
You're old.
I'm not that old. We had just learned about being in Florida, old Sparky, the electric chair, and I was just a little kid, and I was very concerned about it,
Right.
about people catching on fire and stuff. I was little. I have no idea why, but I wrote a letter to the president, so I just didn't know if you guys had ever indulged. And I found out that, so I did some research to see if you write a letter to the president, will it get read? And depending on the president, they have a crews in the White House that spend the entire day reading all the letters and all the emails.
Right.
And like one of the presidents, his whole thing was, I want to read 10 letters a night from people so I can feel connected to people. So every night before bed, he would read the 10, and he's like, a lot of it was
Who
like
was it?
Obama, I think. And he would request the 10 letters, and just, he said a lot of it was really hard and painful, because most of the time it was people saying, like, I struggle, I do this. He said it wasn't like asking for handouts, whatever, but they sift through them, so they actually do read them. And I guess depending upon the president, some of them read them.
Have you ever written a letter to anybody that you didn't know? Like, I've written one letter, and it's going to be super embarrassing. I'm going to tell you what it was, but
I have not.
Never? I wrote a letter to, I don't know how old I was. Maybe I was 12.
Was it a female?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tiffany Chin was her name.
Tiffany Chin.
She was a Olympic figure skater.
I think you told us that before.
I had such a crush on her. And
Did you get anything back?
No.
Your mom didn't even fake it?
No.
Wow.
No, I remember like the whole thing, writing the letter, and oh my gosh, and trying
I
to be
think I,
cool,
like,
trying to
wrote
be cool about it.
Letter
you know,
to
like-
Santa, I think, maybe.
Letter to Santa. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, maybe Santa.
That's the only letter outside of somebody I know
Right.
that I've ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of letters when I was in jail.
How long were you in jail?
8 days.
You wrote
How
a lot
many
of
letters
in
did you
jail?
write?
A lot. That's a come to Jesus moment. Everybody, they say everybody comes to Jesus in jail.
Was it like family, friends?
Yeah, just about anybody you could think of that
Was
you cared
it like-
about. You like,
You're just telling them what's up? Were you apologizing? Were you
yeah,
thanking?
all of that.
Were
I'm so
you
sorry. Thanks for loving me. See you when I get out.
It's been 8 days, Jim.
Oh
Not even long enough to
gosh.
grow a beard.
and the dude next to me, so we were in this, like, the jail was so overcrowded that there was no space. You didn't get your own little room. There was all these cots in the day room, and
Yeah.
the guy next to me was this skinhead with a giant dragon tattooed in the side of his
Oh,
head.
for real?
Yeah, he was awesome.
How old were you?
19.
Were you really? So after those 8 days, were you changed?
I'll tell you one thing right now, like, I never want to go back to jail again as long as I live.
What was the most traumatizing part of it?
Your freedom is taken from you. You may not do what you want to do. I mean, it was the Boulder County Jail in Colorado, and there was cable TV, and the food was better than the dorm food, and went outside and lifted weights, and
It wasn't bad.
I mean, it wasn't like you were in.
Yeah.
I wasn't like in some. There was a shower with a shower curtain. I mean, there wasn't like you were.
Right.
And I was a. Yeah, I mean,
What was the schedule like?
it was like, but you were bored out of your brain because you just had to be by your cot all day until you could get a meal or go outside. And then literally, I can remember there was one spot. They had these windows with tall windows with like slits kind of in them, like, and I could see a tree, one spot from the window, and then in the middle of the jail, it was like a kind of an octagon shaped yard. And if you got right up against the wall in one spot, you could see another tree.
Oh my gosh.
And you're just like, you're not free.
Mm-mm.
And then going in there, you get strip searched.
Ooh. Eee.
So if you've never been in that position, that's not cool.
Spread them.
Oh, dear.
And then my family wanted to come up and do like a contact visit, like see you.
Yeah.
And then I learned once I was in there that requires another strip search. So nah, I'll see you in 8 days.
You knew you were going to be in there for 8 days. That was it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I didn't get arrested and taken to jail. It was as part of a sentence.
Gotcha.
When I got kicked out of school and that whole thing. So, yeah.
It's crazy that it was that impactful.
Yeah.
Just 8 days, like you're saying.
Yeah. Just taking your freedom, though.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go where you want, say what you want, be what you want, do what you want.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm out.
Were you
done.
in a cell with somebody else?
No, it was like this. There was
a
like
day room.
A what?
But so you weren't with like the hard criminals. You were with the like.
No, there were levels.
Yeah, you were like you were in you were getting babysat. You
Yeah.
weren't in jail.
Yeah.
Really. But yeah.
Yeah, there was a door, and there was a giant day room,
You were in daycare.
and then there was it's a little more than that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and then there was 10 or 12 rooms like that. There'll be a couple of guys in bunks on these
You
rooms,
said
and then
the
there was
person
an
had a
overflow.
dragon tattoo on their head.
Yeah, he got
That sounds pretty.
It was like
you know.
the people that were there were like didn't pay child support, got in a fight, peed on the cop car.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just
Just idiots, not
Right.
like hard criminals.
no. When you would go out into the yard,
That's where the hard criminals were.
there was a window, like a bank of windows that opened to the yard, and so there were levels. I can't remember. We were like in green, and then went blue, and then gold was like the felons or whatever. And they were, oh man,
But they
would,
kept you separate from those guys.
Yeah, you were separate from those guys. You didn't eat at the same time, but they would get up to the window.
And they'd just start talking.
Yeah, there was lots of people flipping you off and
Yeah.
saying things and pants coming down and
Yeesh.
Yep.
and you just try not to look over there. Just go,
No, I don't know. I'm not here. I'm getting out of here in 8 days.
oh man.
Ugh. Were the people in there for a long period of time or no?
No, there were some people like this kid that was sitting next to me was going to be transferred someplace else. Here, I remember giving him my underwear
Ah.
on the way out. Because if you got thrown in there, like you got
You
arrested
never
and thrown
knew,
there, whatever you had on you is what you got. And if you didn't have anybody, they could put money in your commissary, so you
Yeah.
could have, box
Yeah.
of crackers or something like that. But if whatever you came in with as far as clothes under the jumpsuit, so that was like a big thing, like no joke. Like I didn't really thought about it, and the guy's like, "Man, dude, like, bro, like, can I have
Yeah.
your underwear?" Like,
Jeez.
and then that right now, having somebody say that to you sounds pretty weird, but
Yeah.
in that environment,
Yeah, you're like, all right, here you go,
Yeah.
bro.
I knew that I could go in with 3 T-shirts and 3 pairs of underwear, and
Yeah.
because I knew going into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you leave with any pen pals?
No. No.
I just wasn't sure. If,
See ya. He
Don't-
gone.
So the guy listening with a dragon tattoo on his head.
That dude ended up being really cool, man. He actually ended up being like just a hurt person who just
Yeah.
couldn't figure
yeah,
himself
nothing against
out.
someone with a
and-
dragon tattoo on their head. I'm just saying, that takes
Takes
guts.
talent.
Yeah.
yeah.
That probably doesn't feel so good.
I didn't go back to Boulder, Colorado for a long time after that. I mean, didn't go back to that city for
see that.
nothing. How did we get started talking about that?
Something I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember.
I couldn't even
Jail.
tell you.
Not jail wasn't even. I don't know.
Freedom. I think that's something we said something about freedom or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
writing letters.
Oh,
Writing
writing
letters.
letters. Yeah, I wrote a bunch of letters.
Yeah, he
because they'd
wrote
give you
letters.
paper, so you could.
No books.
No books. They had cable TV, but there was
They should
nothing
give
to
you
read.
books. That would make more sense.
I think that's one of. I started to really be a thinker at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
I really thought a lot
I
about
can't imagine.
what am I doing.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's not do this again.
not do this again. This is not.
What'd you go to jail for?
Combination of a lot of things. Stealing, fighting. If I started telling stories right now,
Oh, not in one incident.
no, it was a cumulative effect of
Like the judge was finally like, all right, we'll fix this.
my freshman year in school. I went from that conservative home,
Yeah.
always doing what was right,
Mm-hmm.
to no idea how to
Handle yourself.
handle myself at all. I went nuts. I did not go to class. Then I graduated in the top 10 of my class in high school. Didn't go to class. I was old enough to be then you could get in a bar when you're 18. So I was in the bar. Every time you could be in the bar. Yeah, it was not good.
Right. 8 days. That's what'll do it.
Now we know.
Writing letters.
Writing
Writing
letters.
letters.
Letters to home.
8 days of letters.
I like that. I like letters. You guys ready for the book of questions today?
Sure.
Let's see. What did we end on last time about what you won? Okay. What's something your parents used to say to you as a child that you promised yourself you'd never say, but now you catch yourself saying all the time?
Knock it off. I use that one a lot. I never promised I wouldn't say it, but
Knock it off.
Lakeland, I've just noticed the other day, she says okay a lot. It's like if something happens, like if somebody gets hit on like we're watching a movie and something unexpected happens, she'll go okay, and I'm like, that's mine.
You do that all the time.
That's mine.
She says that with the same voice inflection.
Same exact thing. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it could be worse, but yeah, she's. I've just now caught it the last couple of days where she goes okay, and I'm like, all right, that's good.
Oh, that's where you get that.
Yeah.
My dad always used to say, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
6 one way, half dozen the other. That's what Dad always used to say.
But then I
use
just
it
took
too.
it to 6 of one, and then no one ever knew what I was
But
talking
you
about.
also didn't know what it meant. I said it one time. You're like, my dad says it all the time. What does that even mean? It's like 6 one way. A half dozen is also 6.
I just said it because it sounded like him, I guess.
My dad used to say, hold her down, Newt. I think she's going to rear.
Hold her down, Newt.
And Newt was some guy that he knew that was on a horse that bucked him off. So when we used to get upset,
hold her down, Newt.
He'd say to us, and I swore I'd never say something like that again. And I remember telling my daughter, hold her down, Newt. I think she's going to rear.
Dad always used to say, damn it, Jim. Off of Star Trek. Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor.
That's funny. Okay, next. Are you serious-minded or a jokester? Why?
That's easy for me. I mean, I'm way serious-minded, and I have to work hard to try to just laugh and have fun. And
why do you think you're serious?
I don't know. My mind just goes to like,
yeah,
solving a problem and.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably 50-50.
I'd say, yeah, depending on your mood.
Maybe 60-40.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it just depends on the setting with
that's
you.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah. You're one way. You're the opposite, Jim.
I'm not always... The thing is, if you're a jokester, you're intentionally joking. I just say things and then I realize they're ridiculous.
You're about 80. You're about 80-20.
I can, yeah. I'm
80-20, not serious.
Yeah.
Let's say not serious instead of jokester.
Yeah. I can be serious when it's time, but I live in the space of not at all.
Cloud Cuckoo Land.
I love Cloud Cuckoo Land.
I don't know anything about Cloud Cuckoo Land.
You never seen the Lego movie?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch the Lego movie once. That's
gosh.
Elly is in that movie.
Elly is in the movie.
Yeah.
Are you the voice of one of the characters,
Yes.
Elly?
It's just like this.
He's Batman.
I'll show you.
Yeah, that would be perfect. You guys both could have been the voices for those roles, and it worked out, I guess.
I'll show you the Cloud Cuckoo Land thing.
It's fabulous. It looks like a great place. Okay, who was your best friend in high school? Where is he or she now? Gosh, I have like a long
I was about to
list.
say I had several. Bunch of guys I played baseball with, hung out with a lot. I mean, one of my best friends lives a mile and a half from me now still, Matt. Another one lives in Nashville. We're all pretty much around.
Yeah, same.
Yours are still live near you?
Not near me. They're still in Colorado doing their thing.
Are these people that you keep in touch with?
I'm not really as connected. I only went to the high school 1 year.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not as connected to some of those people as other relationships. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Mine are more like, I mean, I had high school best friends, but most of mine came from elementary school or in junior high because it was so small. And we all grew up, like spent 10 years together in school, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really hang out with a ton of my really good high school friends.
Are there people that you could call and just be like,
Yeah,
hey,
I think so.
how's it going? They'd be like, it's Rich. Click.
Yeah. Probably.
Him again.
That guy.
Oh, geez. Now we're getting into the hard questions. Harder. I don't know if you guys really want to. If you could change anything about your relationship with your parents, what would it be?
Oh, wow.
That's like... That's a little much, right?
Nothing. We have a pretty good relationship with my parents.
You do have a good relationship with your parents. I would say this about that. Like, it's something I think I'm proud of, too, as a parent. Like, every generation, I know all the way back to my grandfather, has gotten better at life.
That's cool.
Yeah. You know, the dad learned something and did a little bit better than his father. And I think that's cool. I would say that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that a lot of my kids have more opportunity than any of the rest of us had as we went, which is
cool.
Which is what I think you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it's. I think I actually told you this the other day. So I mean, I don't have kids yet, but I think obviously you try to protect your kids and you care for them and you want to do what's best in the world for them, and irregardless of your previous relationships of all that. And sometimes it seems like at times I wish I had the same accountability as, you know, like my dad has, like in his business life. Like I see how he works with other people and why he's so successful. And my entire life, you know, he was my best friend. So he's like, honey, you're doing great. Everything's great. Which was 100% opposite of how he treated anyone else from his like work business accountability standpoint.
Right.
And I think if I experienced a little bit of that earlier on in life, it would have brought out some things that I didn't learn about myself till I was older.
Right.
Which again, I'm not upset about being loved and nurtured unconditionally. That's fantastic. But a little bit of hard love, because he never, ever, you know, he was just continues to be my biggest cheerleader.
Right.
I think that would have been beneficial to a certain degree.
I told we had a good conversation about that. You had all the things that you needed for sure that a dad is supposed to be. You definitely got that, which was super cool. All the foundational things that create who you are and that you can do it and you're good enough and that whole thing. You got that for sure.
And it's like I definitely appreciate that, but it's also like if you look to your dad as a figure, you know, like if Lakeland looks to you or Britt looks to you, you know, and they see these incredible human beings that you are, that probably didn't come from maybe it did, from the way that you treat them per se. Like you guys got to where you are and arrived at who you are through different experiences and struggles. And I'm saying you need to make your kids struggle. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that all, you know, accumulated through going through trials and growth and things like that. So it's hard because you look up to these father figures who've gone through the ringer to get where they are and to be these strong men for you.
Right.
And then they love you so much they would never want to push you that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you don't, like, I'm not saying I wanted to be that. He gave me everything I needed, but that's why I look at it and I'm like, how do you become that then, you know?
How do you create those trials but also still keep them safe?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm trying to figure that out with 3 kids now because, I mean, as blessed as we've been, if they don't, I'm not going to say they wouldn't ever struggle with anything, but, you know, it's going to be, I want to make sure that, you know, we are going to get some cows or some chickens or, you know, so they have some type of responsibility, some chores and stuff like that. Because, I mean, that's what helped me growing up. I mean, I never wanted, and, you know, I wanted stuff, but my parents were always, you know, we never missed a meal, never, you know, like we weren't rich by any means, but we were well taken care of. So I want to figure out a way to, you know, for our kids to not be spoiled brats, basically. You know, it's tough. I started working when I started working full time for sure in the summers when I was 14. My dad was a painter, house painter, and we went to work. And we didn't get to do some of the other things, and I hated my dad for that. I can remember, like, literally despising who he was for me being in that truck driving to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. But later, learned to really appreciate a lot of that.
Well, I think responsibility breeds a lot of things. And so does, I mean, teaching a kid that their life is blessed and to be thankful for that. And not everyone's life is like that. Learning empathy at a young age, I think, is really important and valuable. That's why I was thankful to grow up at a really small school, because we all knew everything about each other and each other's journey. So we all had an appreciation for that.
Right.
And I think, it's incredibly valuable.
I had this picture because I thought really hard, and it was a priority to be a good dad.
Mm-hmm.
And to take the good things that I had learned and really apply those things, and some of the things that I did not respect and like that I had grown up, because those things they're there,
Mm-hmm.
and get rid of that. But I saw life as a river,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's some, flat, even spots, some easy stuff, and then there are some waterfalls and some rapids, and our job is to get in the water with our kids, and I kind of saw myself putting a rope around them,
Mm-hmm.
and being in the water with them, and when something was getting ready to happen that I knew they weren't ready for, like I saw this picture in my mind,
Mhm.
like a big rapid.
Pull them away from
Pull
it.
them in, get them close to you, take care of them, and then you know what? No, she's ready for
Let
that.
them go a little bit.
Let her go under the water. Let her fight for it, but I'm still there. And I think
Safety net.
yeah. And then at a certain point, you cut the rope and you let them go, and you're responsible and accountable for yourself. And I think I come from a really religious background,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say I want to be as honorable as possible, but my dad kind of took us to the river, and he built a fort.
Right.
And we got on the top of the fort, and we watched the water, and he explained it all to me,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have any real experience. And then that getting to school that freshman year really was, I had really no
Jumped off
real
the tower.
experience.
Yeah.
I did. I just went crazy as soon as the water hit me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's all his fault by any means,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's this combination of, for sure, you said, you want to set your kids in some positions where they struggle a little bit. And
But how true is it too, though? From look at it from a generational standpoint. Okay, so what were your parents' lives like? What was the life they gave you like?
For
And there's so much to that. So my dad, my grandpa, he was amazing, but his life was the epitome of his father died from it was like a blood poisoning, and he had to take care of his 4 siblings. They became his kids because he was the eldest. And anyway, his life, the way he ended up treating my father, he
Right.
was so hard on my dad his entire life. So of course, what does your parent then say? Well, I'm not going to ever treat my kids that way because that was so hard. So what did he do? Tries to create this perfect place, gives you constant love and attention, doesn't want you to
Yeah.
fear or be criticized or anything. So then now you've been given whatever. How are you going to treat your kids? And I just think there's this huge carryover. You have to really think about it. Again, I'm not in that situation at this point in time, but I mean, wow, that's pretty heavy to think about,
Yeah.
Even your parents' lives and how it affected you, and now how are you raising your kids because of that? That's massive.
yeah.
Because there's a huge tendency, I think, that if you come from, maybe you grew up and you didn't have anything, and you have kids and you're like, I'm going to give them everything. Well, is that setting them up for success?
Yeah. Each one of my kids were different. What they needed was different. And I for sure made a bunch of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always, well, we talked about it now. I was always mindful. I was always thinking hard about it. And it was a priority. And I just tried to do what was right. And I tried to stay true to what I believed in.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, Taylor came to me once, maybe a year ago, at 25 years old. And she said, Dad, you know what the most important thing you ever said to me? Or what the most important thing you ever did for me was? And I'm thinking, here we go. Payoff. Good, bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting ready
Yeah.
to hear, but I said a lot of stuff, And she said, you gave me your time.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back at all the things. I'm like, holy smokes. I really made a commitment to always be there. I got to be at the soccer matches and be around and be there.
Right.
But I kicked Brittany out of the house when she was 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she wanted to do what she wanted to do, and I looked at her like, why you expect me to be a different man than I've always been? I've been the same guy always, and I'm not going to be different today.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. You just
Peace.
you do what's right that day,
Yeah.
and then you do it right the next day, and you keep loving them. And
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't their friend, although now I'm really kind of more their friend.
Yeah.
But I wasn't trying to be their friend then. I really wasn't. I was trying to.
Yeah, for sure.
I could say the hard things.
Right.
They've been mad at me before. Even as an adult, hollered at me. How could you say that to me? Well,
It's the truth.
what other person on the planet could say that to you?
Yeah.
Right.
Name that one person
Yeah.
who you
That's it.
know has got miles,
Yep.
who's
Right.
been there.
Right.
You know I'm not a butthead,
Right.
and that wasn't the word I used there.
Right.
Look at what I have done. How would
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're cool. You know, like, geez. I mean, shoot, man.
Yeah.
Lakeland's.
Yeah.
That girl goes 1,000,000 miles an hour, man.
Million miles an
You're
hour.
going to be in that hardcore.
Yeah.
Till the day she heads out, but she's going to end up being somebody who's extremely capable.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because she's a fire starter. She can make it happen.
Right.
You know, she's strong-willed.
That's for sure.
You know, if you can kind of like,
Bumpers.
yeah, if you can just direct it the right way, you'll have something.
Yeah.
You know,
Let her
for
move.
sure.
Let her move in that lane, but
Yeah.
Jeez. You guys ready for the next one?
I can't wait to see you as a parent. It's going to be cool.
it'd be terrifying.
Oh, my gosh.
Terrifying?
It's going to be great.
Why am I terrifying?
It's that child's life.
Whatever.
Kyle, oh, my gosh.
Child's gonna kill you.
Oh, my gosh.
It's fine.
It's going to be good. It's going to be great.
Perfect. Next question. Are people trustworthy? Explain your answer.
Are people trustworthy? Wow, that's a really weird question.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. You
Right.
can't like.
I mean,
people,
this is kind of like intrinsic. Like, do you trust? I feel like this is kind of like, are you inherently like,
trusting
yeah,
most of the time.
to a fault for sure. I like to think of
I want to start that way for sure.
Yeah.
I want to believe the best right out the gate.
Yeah,
and-
people usually start at 100 with me, and then usually dwindle their way down. But
Well, that's for sure the truth. That's
Yeah.
for sure in your life. You
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
do want to.
yeah,
Everybody gets to start that space
Yeah.
with you. But I know for you, once you're burned,
it's hard to get back.
it's hard to get back in
Hard
that
to get
space
back.
again.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know other people where you start at 0 no matter what, and my wife, that's usually the way she is. Is you
Yeah.
start at 0 and you have to work your way up. But
Yeah.
in some ways, that's better. You know, it just kind of depends.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that grows with relationship.
Yeah.
You know, you get some miles with somebody and you know
Yeah.
who they are. And
I agree. Did
what
we-
is this book, by the way? People have asked what the book is.
the complete book of questions?
Complete Book of Questions by
Gary Poole.
Gary Poole.
It's great. I love this book. This has been fantastic. How difficult is it for you to forgive someone who refuses to apologize?
That's tough. Depends on I've had a couple situations where I've apologized and then never got a response, and so I'm like, I feel like my job there is done. I'm not going to keep begging, for forgiveness. When I apologize, I admitted I was in the wrong, and people don't have the decency to talk to me, and they still want to,
Yeah.
hold something over your head. I think that's on them. I feel bad, but it's like, hey, I've apologized. I'm not gonna beg you,
Right.
Like, sorry, but so.
I've definitely been in spots like that too. I made a lot of mistakes early in life, a lot of big ones, so where you felt like you had to keep apologizing,
Right.
and then finally you're like, okay, I've done this as much as I can, and
Yeah.
I learned this about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not really for the other person. Forgiveness is for you.
Yeah.
Unforgiveness is like you drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die,
Yeah.
and it'll eat you from the inside
Yeah.
out. Unforgiveness or forgiving somebody doesn't mean that you're excusing them
No.
or you're validating what they did. It
No.
doesn't mean that at all.
No.
But it does mean that you get that sorted out in your heart,
Yeah.
and you can let that go.
Yeah.
And for me, I had a couple of monster places in my life where it took years to work into that space.
Right.
And it was literally destroying me. Everything that I could do and everything I could be, and the other person seemed completely unaffected
Yeah.
and okay and gone, and you're just like, you're just withering over there.
Yeah.
And so getting that definition or that working definition right in my life was a really big deal.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it also kind of depends on, I'm a pleaser, I came that way, and I've always tried to go straight for forgiveness, regardless of how brutalized or how whatever the situation was, just because you just don't know someone's journey and you don't know why that came up, and there's so many reasons behind why people act the way they act that we don't know in the time or in the moment. And it's exactly what you're saying. What good does it do me to be angry? I'm just going to forgive you, and then and surely I make mistakes all the time, so maybe we'll figure it out someday. If not, then
But if I've forgiven someone, that doesn't necessarily mean that I've forgotten.
yeah,
No.
for
And I'm
sure.
not keeping what happened
No.
in I'm not judging somebody's heart, but I'm certainly judging their actions.
Right.
Yeah.
And depending on that situation,
Mm-hmm.
relationships change. It's just true. It's just true.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy do you usually feel?
Oh,
8, 7.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
It says explain. I don't
Get
know.
a little bit of whiskey in me. I might bump up around a 9.
You might be up
Might get a
a
little out of
notch.
control.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Look at my wife. She'll be like,
He's at a 10.
Back
It's
to a
fine.
4?
sit down, please.
It's
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's a different kind of meter.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh geez. Oh wow. We got to the back to the.
What about
religion
you?
questions.
Answer that question.
How happy do I usually feel? I'm like I don't like to say I'm an extremist, but I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I am usually a 10. But
You
if
dropped fast to a 2 sometimes, though.
But yeah, sometimes I just slam into that wall, or like you hurt my feelings, or you know like. I don't know. You don't want to yodel, and all of a sudden I'm down to a 1, and I'm like,
You don't
get
want
back
to yodel?
up. You know, it's like
I don't want to
get
yodel.
back in that
Sorry,
race car.
people yodel. I don't want to yodel.
It's all
No,
good.
I
I'm
don't really
glad
care
you
anything
didn't.
about yodeling.
That didn't really make me sad, by the
Okay.
way.
I think you do live on. You don't really live at a 4, 5, or
Nah,
6.
I'm,
You're
I'm
No,
either a 10 or
you're
7, 8, 9.
extreme.
1, 2, 3.
And you're only at about a 2 for about 35, 40 seconds, and then you're back to
yeah.
11.
Pretty
Truthfully,
dang positive
like,
all the time.
honestly, and I don't know why this is, and I would love to know. I mean, I think I kind of know the science, but like if I'm ever having a really bad day and someone just gives me a hug, I'm like really up.
It's
And
true.
that sounds ridiculous, but I don't know why. Like I'm like, oh, it's good, it's fine, we're good, life's good, you know. But it's been 2 weeks, I think, since our last conversation, and I haven't cried, so I just want to put that to bed.
It's been 2 weeks or 1 week. I think it's been 1
I
week.
think it's been 1 week. 1 week since the podcast.
I got 7 more days.
Listen, let's not just. Have you ever been around somebody who like it's like just their nature to be kind of down all the time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Eeyore.
Like Eeyore.
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
But they're not
Oh,
really
they're-
depressed or bad. They're
Yeah.
just they kind of live
They're
at that.
monotone-ish.
they just...
Oh, for sure. There are a lot of Eeyores,
Yeah.
you know?
There's not anybody like that really around here.
Eeyore.
We don't really have a.
I have a buddy that is.
It's like
I meant
Eeyore.
like Mayhem personalities. So
Do
it's
they
not really.
move slowly, too?
No.
Like, how you doing, buddy? Well, I'm pretty good.
Well, today. Yeah. No, we don't really have anybody like that
No.
around.
This is a religion one. Do you think religion is an emotional crutch for some people? Why or why not?
Next.
Next,
That's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people do.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's a for sure.
Yeah, but people have tons of crutches, you know.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah,
one of
it's
many,
just
one.
honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a bazillion.
I was so I'm gonna let's talk about it. I'm at the coffee shop
Oh, yeah.
and a very nice individual wants to be in a conversation, and so he buys coffee for me. And I really didn't want him to buy me coffee because I didn't want to be in a conversation.
Mhm.
But he's a really religious kind of a person. The whole conversation, well, he started talking about CrossFit and working out, and he made excuses not to work out because he needed to spread the word. I need to spend all my time talking about Jesus and doing Jesus stuff. And I just don't really have time. And well, I'm 57 now and my hip hurts and excuse. And those things are not exclusive,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And I'm sitting here literally, he's talking to a human being who's dedicated their life to core values.
Right.
One of them happens to be faith.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the vehicles that we use is fitness.
Right.
So this dude is literally saying this to me.
Right.
And I've just got to stand there and be real quiet because I really don't want to be in the conversation. You want to talk about a crutch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him like my whole entire life and these people that I'm like the closest with.
Yeah.
What we do is fitness.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're doing that is because of our faith and because of our family and because of loyalty and
Right.
because we want to be in the fight for our culture and And the dude's literally looking at me like, he's saying to me basically, everything you do doesn't count or doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Jeez.
So I'm just like, and then he said, he bought me the coffee, didn't want to buy me the coffee, and he goes, hey, you want to sit down and talk? And I said, no.
No, I'm good. I appreciate it.
I didn't want to lie
Yeah.
and say that I had some other thing,
Yeah.
emails to do or something, so I just looked at him and said no.
No.
And I just stared at him until I got awkward, and he walked away.
Till it got awkward.
No.
Which we've done that test before.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I agree.
Coming back around. We kind of did this one the other day, but you guys didn't take it seriously. It was in the car. Using one word per person, what was your first impression of each person present with you now?
Annoying.
Oh, wow.
You must be talking about Jim.
No.
That's what you thought? Oh my gosh, how could you do that to him? He's so nice.
No.
Well, I didn't really think about I would have to think about that now.
Yeah.
I don't think about a person in those kinds of
No,
terms.
me either. But I remember you being annoying.
No, I was not.
The first time we met you, we ran at the track, and we're running intervals, and they've got like it's run hard and then kind of recovery run. So we explained the workout to Elly, and then in the middle of the workout, she's like, so can we talk on these recoveries? And me and Hewitt both look at her like, no.
I was trying to make new friends. I was your potential new teammate.
Frenza? Is there an A on the end of
I
it?
was trying to make Frenza.
Is that a dish, some type? Frenza?
So that's a good. So day one, this is
Nailed
what you
it.
got.
I remember
Nailed
where on the
it.
track we were when I asked.
Not a
I do
couple
too.
of days.
We were in turn 3,
Yep.
coming down the final stretch at Tech.
Yep. And
I
was just
remember
like,
it.
so-
a full-on running workout, and
Yeah,
she's
full
like,
on
hey.
running. Hey, are these talking recoveries? And me and Hewitt both go, no.
I was trying to learn about them.
Wow, that's cool though. You're consistent.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Day one. Annoying
Yeah,
from
they
day one.
Shut me down.
3.5 years later.
You're still the same. I remember thinking that you were like one of the most like head down and go sort of people I'd ever met. Like we walk in, you're like this, this is what we're doing today, and talk about consistent. It was like here I am, here's what we're gonna do, and you just were, again, it was about the expectation I always talk about with you. It was like we showed up and there was an every time I walked in, I was like, I've never done that. Well, we're going to do this. And you're like, well, I haven't done this. Well, we're going to do this. And you're like, that expectation and it was great.
I think probably that's my favorite part about your relationship and coming here was that you were extremely capable as an athlete, for sure. But the standards and the expectations were, this is where we're going. And,
Get on.
And for you to just jump in there and make it happen, you've grown so much.
Are you kidding? I wish I was here a bazillion years before I was, because that mentality, I tell you all the time, that was like one of the most impactful things that's happened to me in the last decade is that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Like, talk about jumping in the deep end
yeah.
and swimming.
Sink or swim.
Sink or swim.
Every day.
We had one sink. She gone.
She gone.
She gone.
She gone.
Just...
I would say that...
Not ref it. That's not the
What's
going.
it called in battle when you try to... It was like she tried to like, what is it called when you fight? Like you, not going rogue, obviously, but like
Coup?
like,
A coup?
yeah, something like that.
No.
She tried to
what's it-
form.
when you run away.
Oh, AWOL.
AWOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, she going AWOL.
She gone.
I think just the term competitor, like the ultimate. I've never been around somebody more competitive than
Oh, for sure.
him. Then for sure that this just comes out of you and everything that you do. And for you, like you are the epitome to me of like energy. Just like like man, show up someplace and.
As long as you can contain that energy.
That's what we've talked about. Like she's lightning, man.
I've never been out of control.
You've never been in control. Brain control, mind control.
Well, so when I not met you, but like the first, like, I feel like engaged conversation we had, I remember thinking, this dude's wise. I need to know
Wise
what
old
books.
sage.
You
Wow.
were like, it's because
Old
it was
keyword.
so bizarre because Lindy had just told me about, she did some kind of like, it wasn't like a personality test, but it was kind of something like that. And I was like, oh man, you can analyze those things. And then I was talking to you and it was something to do with those things, and you had answers and direction and everything I was saying, and I was like, oh my gosh, he holds the keys. Like,
he holds
the keys.
And I literally was like, I can't wait to talk to him again, because I was so excited to hear someone that wanted to engage and have a conversation about those things.
Right.
Because it's so few and far. Like, you can't just walk up to someone and be like, hey, this is, that's kind of like a different level of like, it's just not small talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was cool that I knew that immediately that was something that interests you.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, he's wise.
Yeah.
Wise.
We get to like have, what's really cool is we get to have like really purposeful conversations that are more than surface stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
in front of people.
well, we get to do it in front of
Just
people,
kidding.
but even in real life,
right?
We get a chance to have some really cool conversations that are meaningful.
As I still ask you, we're in the back to the easy questions. I feel like I know this one too. Are you more of a rule breaker or a rule keeper? Why?
I'm more of a make your own rules kind of person.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really. No, yeah, I'm a rule breaker for sure. I'm not a rule maker or rule whatever the other one was.
Yeah, you guys are both make your own rules. Like, meh.
You didn't get where you're at in fitness by.
No. Well, this actually goes back to the religion one, and also rules. And so somebody commented on, I guess it was Hillary's post. It was me and Trice on Easter or whatever, and said that. What did he say? He said, Jesus died for our sins, and Rich Froning can't even put on a pair of pants for Easter. And so I commented on there. I said,
oh my gosh.
And I said, I didn't know Jesus wore pants on Easter either. And I said, and then I proceeded to say, you're the type of guy that turns more people away from Jesus than actually brings them to Jesus.
Yeah.
And he deleted his comment and then messaged me, and I just got it the other day, apologizing, saying he was just joking. But I was kind of like,
yeah.
You really sound like a joke, bro. I don't.
That's a really nice thing to go into.
This is a really important perspective for me, because I live by a set of values.
Yeah.
Not a set of rules. And rules are different. Rules aren't necessarily bad, but, I think I've told the story. I started teaching my girls, instead of giving them a ton of rules, it was let's be kind, gentle, and generous. It's what you did that. So when I look at my life, fight, work, hope, faith, team, family, access, purpose, responsibility, love, and freedom is what I'm getting ready to do. Match that.
Right.
If it doesn't, I don't do it. And if it does, I do.
Right.
And how I've defined those words. So I like living that way better than, hey, here are the 12 things I know I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Because rules takes us away from relationship. It's more contractual, and values keep us in relationship.
Yeah, I like that.
It's more authentic. So,
that was a good point.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know what I am. I'm just going to go with your point. I picked that.
Rules aren't bad all the time. I'm not saying they are.
Yeah,
it's good to have,
for sure.
Yeah.
There's lots of rules in CrossFit, things that you do want to do and don't want to do, and I'm learning those things as it relates to gymnastic skills and all kinds of things. But it's a little bit different than we're talking about this way to live life.
Yeah.
Philosophical approach to life.
How do you go about illuminating blind spots in your life? That kind of seems like an oxymoron, because if it's a blind spot, you don't know it's there.
That's a good question, though. That was a very good question, because we all have them. Like, this is how you do it, right? The only way to do it is have people in your lives that
hold you accountable.
You have a relationship with, who can come to you and say, hey, man, like, why don't you check this out?
Absolutely. It's like having a mastermind group. I consider you guys like my mastermind group, because it's easy to, like, our personalities are also different. It's easy to even observe the others and question, wait a second, am I looking at, and I get that a lot from you guys, and I appreciate that, because I do have such a different personality, and we all have different,
right,
highs, lows, whatever, and it's really illuminating, and I know I could talk to you, and
you have to first want to develop, right? You have to first want to be growing.
Yeah.
You got to be
open to change, open to willing to, and like you're saying, you have to have different people in your circle, but you also have to be able to communicate with the people that you either rely on or the people that you depend on as part of that group. I mean, it's something we're figuring out now as well in different areas. I mean, even as it goes to business and anything, is there's a lack of communication you're going to create those blind spots.
So why is it in life? Let me ask this, because it goes back to, like, speaking of blind spots, we have all these conflicts and issues, whether it be like in, family, in business, in recreation, in our friendships, everything that we do, it all goes back to lack of communication or things being misunderstood. Why is that rampant? Why is that such an issue today that people cannot approach the other person and have a conversation? Is it I feel like most people don't want to deal with someone's reaction or
I think
what is the root of that?
It comes back to either the person giving the criticism either doesn't know how to give the criticism correctly, or some people don't know how to take it.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so people get their emotion, and it goes back to what you talk about. People make so many decisions based on emotion instead of actually thinking about, hey, maybe there is something I'm doing. Maybe it's, something's coming up and part of it is me. So how do we fix this? But also, I don't know, I think people just are too tied up in their emotions and don't think logically sometimes. And
connecting the feelings to this filter or the value system so you can think clearly. You know what you feel, and feelings give life meaning.
Yeah.
But what is it you believe, and being able to critically think like that.
And having those beliefs and knowing what
The truth hurts.
Yeah.
In general terms. I mean, someone telling you the raw truth all the way over to, man, this is what it is. That's usually a little bit hard because it bumps into our ego and our feelings, our emotions, and what we believe, and you're being critical of me and all of that. So,
especially the people you're close with, because you can half anticipate the reaction of someone you're actually close with.
Right.
And I'm answering my own question there. Like, if you know how they're going to react, and it's either not going to be sane or logical,
So
or
what's the point in saying it?
Exactly,
Sometimes?
or over emotional, then what is me communicating this even going to do? But however, you still have to get out of the habit loop of, here's something my dad always says, and that I use all the time now is, Elly, you can't let the insane run the asylum, or you become insane. And it's the truest thing. It's so true, because if you're surrounded by crazy people and you're around it enough, it becomes the norm. And he says it to me constantly, and it's a great reminder. Like, Elly, you can't let the insane run the asylum. So true.
I don't think you can learn something from everybody.
I was shocked when you first said that.
I don't
was
believe
like,
that at all. I believe you can gain perspective from everybody.
Yeah.
But in the terms I'm using it, teach me something.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody can teach me something.
No.
And
Teach
so
you how not to do something.
yeah. So I have 3 or 4 people in my life who have more experience than me, and for sure are better than me in some areas. And those are people that I have some relationship with and I trust. I don't need grace from those people. I don't need pat on the back from those people. I just need them to tell me the truth. Our relationship, we've talked about this. Like we've got enough miles together now where we've actually talked about this, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, if I said something to you that's offended you, I didn't mean to do it.
Right.
I that wasn't my goal.
Right.
I was simply trying to be the truth in your life because you asked me.
Yeah.
Like we have that relationship now. So let's get past all the trying to have to set the conversation up and make sure your feelings are okay.
How are you? Is it a good day to do this?
I'm already being mindful.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm already trying to be authentic.
Yeah.
And I think we need people like that in our lives. We need people who you can trust just to say, hey bro, hey man, this is what I saw. Love you, man. Like it's just what I was thinking. Try it on for size.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like buying pants, man.
It's like buying pants.
If they don't fit, take them off. If it does, wear them out.
Wear 'em out.
I mean, I don't know.
It's true.
Last one.
Last one. Jeez. I feel like it's got to be a good one.
Don't take too long.
What does...
You can't read the question.
No, I didn't. It didn't come out right.
Man, I hope I pushed all the right buttons on this and this is actually recording.
If not, I guess we'll...
What advice can you give about how to relieve stress? Because I couldn't read the other question. We exercise 24 hours a day. How did that not first?
Yeah.
I immediately go into motion
I was
when
trying
I'm
to go
stressed.
somewhere else other than that because that's the obvious answer, but that's about all I got. is find something you like to do, and
You like to walk around the woods and stuff.
I'd like to walk around the
Nature.
woods.
It's a big deal. That's a big one for you.
Yep.
That's peaceful. Your barn is like the most peaceful place on the planet. That's stress relieving.
My buddy calls it dumping your bucket.
Hmm.
So during the week, you got this bucket full of stuff. You got to figure out how to dump it. And he gets on a motorcycle and takes off riding, and he comes back,
Good to go.
and he's good to go. So you got to find that.
Find something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, for me, working out's a big deal. Like,
It's science.
if my wife knows if I haven't got a chance to fitness for a few days, because I'm just not the same person.
Right.
Everything about my mind, my heart, my chemical makeup, that's a
not
big deal
good.
to me.
Agreed.
That's for sure in your world.
Oh, yeah.
For
For
sure
sure
in your
mine,
world.
for sure.
Those are key drivers.
1000%.
That's it.
Cool.
That was the last question.
Boom.
CrossFitMayhem.com, FroningandFriends.com, and be on the lookout. Mayhem Mindset is coming.
It's coming. I promise.
Peace.